Especially at election time, knock off. Well, all I can say is I'm spoilt for choice here tonight. By crack Intagogan, won't we a stores? But tell us now, is the rumour true that in fact there are also two Charlie Hoheys?
That's right, yeah. The one who met Bernie, Carl.
And the one who didn't. Well, that explains everything, doesn't it? And two Michael O'Kennedys. Is that possible?
Yeah, baby. The one with no brains at all. And the one with no brains at all.
Well, Doc Wilshere Shin, extraordinary. Any others we should know about?
Well, there are two Gerald Collins.
Yes, of course, we can all see that. And the vote of confidence motion, lads, how do you think it will go?
Oh, Charlie will win. 2-1.
Oh, go Holland. But let's not dwell on the problems of Fianna Fáil. Instead, Anocht, let's celebrate two of its heroes, Pat O'Connor, August Pat O'Connor, who represent Istoi Lumsa, the secret of Fianna Fáil's success. And next week, Aghini Ursula, watch carefully as I'll be presenting BB and the Late Late Show at the same time. Slow the niche, slow, goodbye, slow. Now, around the world on 80 grand. This week, Gerard Collins brings us on a sunshine trip to sunny Yugoslavia.
Wonderful, wonderful Yugoslavia goes an old song, and why not? Yugoslavia is a tranquil haven set in the Adriatic. It is a country where you can bask in warm sunshine and the lush tropical profusion of microphones. It wasn't always dust, but due perhaps to the present climate, mics are sprouting up all over the place. Sounds like my kind of holiday. I have been to many cities, Berlin with its friendly Berliners, London with its native Londoners, and Vukovar, where the local Vukers are friendly, alive ones that is. Rural life is the same whether it is Abbeyfield or Zagreb, lots of itinerant people wandering from place to place with household contents on their backs, some of them their own. And of course, a bit of inter-parish rivalry often does get out of hand, such as the exuberance of the local folk, but no worse than Rathkill Sarsfields versus Abbeyfield O'Connells in the county championship. Enchanting Dubrovnik is a visit to a disappearing world, very rapidly disappearing I might add. It's an interesting city, well worth visiting, full of medieval buildings, but hurry while they're still there. Bad enough to lose the medieval buildings, but worse still, all the restaurants. Local cuisine favoured of late includes dog, cat, rat, and as a special delicacy, horse, especially if you can get it sometime within the first week after being shot. The local ritual of bombarding the city is spectacular and exciting and a wonderful treat to the spectator. To enjoy it, all you have to do is simply stand by and watch, and God only knows the rest of us Europeans have certainly stood by and watched. The great thing about Yugoslavia these days, I find, is that you can cry your eyes out and there are so many others crying, nobody notices. I pleaded with the Federal Army. I said, you're going to wreck Dubrovnik. You're going to burst up the town centre, so you are. You're destroying Dubrovnik, so you are. You're showing frightening maturity. Charles, you look tired. Is that chair uncomfortable? It must be. Here, Vincent Brady, come up here. There now, Charles. Sit down there on Vincent. That's it now. Is that comfortable, Charles?
That's fine. Thank you, Mary. Thanks, Vincent. My pleasure, Taoiseach. I just hope that being down on all fours won't hinder my ability to cast my vote for you, sir. Thank you, true and loyal friend. So let us take the vote, remembering just two important things. One, a vote for Charles will bring shouts and cheers of approval from the rooftops of the nation, and blessings will shower on each and every one of you. And two, vote freely as your conscience dictates. Happy days are here. La, 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 la. PJ! Put away that telescope and long-range microphone business and listening.
Right.
You're almost fidgeting with gadgets.
I'm sorry, boss.
I have a question for you.
Yes, boss.
11 ones is what?
11.
11 twos is?
It's only 22, boss.
11 threes?
33.
11 fours?
44.
What's next?
Oh, please, boss, me, I'm sure. Me, boss. I'm sure. No, back in the class.
Mara.
Yeah.
11 fives.
55, boss. 55.
Yeah. Did you see the fear in their faces?
I
Mara?
did, boss.
Imagine, Mara.
Oh, yeah.
Two little words sent them scurrying for cover.
Open vote.
It has the same cadence as bubonic plague. Or high ace.
Stop now, you're slagging. Stop.
Oh, I was shocked. man. I couldn't believe that of you.
Will
you
you
know.
get out? Stop now.
Come here to me.
Thank you very much, man.
Oh, there was lots of. I'm voting from Taoiseach, but I support the secret ballot. Oh, for God's sake. And Kennedy,
Oh, you shot.
Prince of Village Idiots, scared of his shite. They all are. They think I don't know, Mara, but I know. They couldn't look me in the eye and vote me down. Never in a million years. It's interesting how nature conspires to suit my purposes. All week the elements have been windy, but never as windy as elements of my party.
Gay, we can get used enough for the 5th.
Oh, we've done him already. He's an old guy. Gives me a pain in my arse.
What about George Best?
Oh, give us a fag. Lushy footballer. Enough lushies for the moment.
And what about the Queen?
Like it. AIDS and glamour. Tragedy among the riches. Great TV. Who are we getting? The other lads in the band? Lots of tears. Love it.
No, it's the Queen, Gay, of England.
Don't get it. What's the angle?
Well, she's,
Will she sing? I mean, can't you do a 3-minute stand-up?
I don't think so.
Jim, if I have told you once, son, I've told you 1,000 times, I want entertainment. Has she AIDS?
No, I don't think so.
You see, can't sing and no AIDS. What about a booze problem then?
No, that's the sister, Gay.
No, that's too thin. Is there any tragedy there at all?
Not as far as I know.
Can I even patronise her?
Hardly her being Queen and that, you know.
You see, nothing and nothing yet. Think again, Jim. Anyway, this week the toy show. What have we got?
Well, we have the Scale Extra train set and we have the Barbie doll.
Ah, Thelma Mansfield guesting, is she? Thelma, Barbie doll. Suit yourselves.
Yeah, that's very good, Guy. Her blonde hair and everything, and she looks like a Barbie doll and everything like that. And you're very witty. Anyway, we have computer games and a tractor set, Gay, and
never mind the hardware. Have we kids? Lots of kids, preferably with a tooth missing. The wonder, the magic of Christmas. Good for 5 points in the towns any day. The parents love it. That's what the Billies want, you know.
The Billies.
The Billy Bunters, the punters. Oh, you're too young, son. Make sure that we get a close-up of one of the kids looking lost and crying. Always gets a big ah from the audience.
And what if they don't cry, Gay?
And give it a clip on the ears with 2 minutes to air. Always works. Do it regularly myself. You get to enjoy it.
Right.
And remember, lots of children. What about the Billy Barry kids? One more nauseating than the next. Nothing like it. Precocious kids with showbiz mothers determined that their child is going to be the next twink.
Well, I suppose that is the wonderful thing about showbiz.
That's the frightening thing about it. One mutation in a generation is quite enough.
Okay.
And now around the world on 80 grand. And this week, Gerard...
Sorry.
Gerard Collins brings us on a trip to Toyland.
Jingle bells, jingle, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on the Gulfstream government jet without having to share the cabin with fare-paying punters. This week I went in search of Thailand, and so it was that I headed north towards the North Pole to have some bilateral discussions with Mr. Claus. On arrival, I was met by a guard of honour of gnomes, tiny little fellas babbling away a good-o, and not a word could I make out. Very like Michael D. Higgins, I thought. Also in Thailand, I noticed so many fairies running around that for a while I thought I was out there in RTE. The currency here, which bears the hallmark of the Bank of Thailand, happily enjoys a favourable exchange rate with our own currency. Our punt has about the same value. At last I met Mr. Claus. What a big fat jovial old rogue bursting out of his suit. He said, "I'm fine," says I. After that cordial exchange, we talked about how many gifts he could bring us this year. Structural fund gifts, intervention subsidy gifts, lots and lots of gifts. But as soon as Mr. Claus tried to bring the subject of toy soldiers into our talks, I had to leave the room as I'm not allowed to discuss security matters. Mr. Claus and I discussed many matters of mutual interest. I understood the pressure of having to deliver prezzies. It may be a train set or a cowboy outfit to someone somewhere in the world for him. For me, it's a new Garda station or a pension or bylaw approval or what have you. Mr. Claus knows what it's like to deal with kids. They show a frightening lack of maturity, but they can burst your election prospects so they can. I met the reindeer also, and there's not much eating on them, I must say.
Oh, Master Bertie, sit up here. What would you like? Go on, close your eyes and pick a portfolio. Any portfolio.
Thanks, Mr. Hyde. Actually, I'd like all of them.
No, don't be silly. That's not allowed. Do you think if it was constitutional for one person to hold all the portfolios, I'd put up with those other 14 gobshites on their so-called cabinet meetings? You want all of them. man after my own heart. Greedy little Goyer. You know what I do with greedy people? You appoint them to semi-state companies. Oh, very droll. Now go on, pick a ministry. Let me see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a big portfolio. Can I have finance? Clever boy. Told you would pay you to help me hang Albert out, didn't I? Albert? I did nothing. Precisely. Here's finance. Enjoy.
Tomas McCrory, what news from the courts today?
Well, a fairly horrific case, Miles, involving a middle-aged man and a large number of children. It appears that the defendant knowingly coaxed these children.
Who was the defendant, Tomas?
The defendant was named as a Mr. Gabriel Mary Byrne, Miles, and this Mr. Byrne is normally involved with women, usually of a sort of neurotic disposition, who ring him up apparently every morning and tell him all their secrets.
Is this Mr. Byrne some sort of psychiatrist?
Well, he's more of a quack, really, Miles, but it would appear that these women love talking to him, and indeed several of them fainted while giving evidence in his defence today.
Outline the precise charge for us, Tomas.
Well, Mr. Byrne was accused of luring 100 or so children into a room with promises of toys and kept them trapped there for the whole day.
This is a case of molestation, then?
Well, no, Miles, indeed. All the evidence suggested that Mr. Byrne can't stand children and wouldn't touch them with a barge pole. And as they say, although the prosecution tried to argue that the defendant was so repulsive that even forcing children to be in his presence for that length of time constituted child abuse.
So, was it established why Mr. Byrne kidnapped these children?
Well, apparently, Miles, it had all to do with something called ratings, or to put it less technically, it seems Mr. Byrne suffers from a personality disorder. He was described in court as an obsessive-compulsive who had a psychotic desire to be the most popular person in the country and will do anything, or indeed anyone, to ensure that this happens.
And the judgment?
Well, Miles, the justice said that whatever his views were of Mr. Byrne personally, he had to compliment him on the professionalism of his defence, and felt that the action, though somewhat cruel and even predatory, could be seen to be in the public interest, and so acquitted him. At which point I should add, Miles, that there was a spontaneous rush of women to congratulate Mr. Byrne and to shoulder him in triumph from the court, during which several of the women bit Mr. Byrne on the...
Now, let me see if I understand this, Mary. There were 5, but they performed the show on behalf of their grown-up children, and there were Dermot Morgan, Pauline McGlynn, Owen Rowe, and Jonathan White, and Dermot O'Reilly. Didn't like him. No, my friends, no, not funny. And who is this Lucky Butler? An engineer. Dermot Morgan and Jerry Stembridge were the beneficial writers of the scripts. I see. And it was directed, was it, by Jerry Stembridge, and the whole show was a disgrace and rude, and we are sick and tired of saying this, my dear friends.
Recorded at Real Good Studios, Dublin, Scrap Saturday is from Q Productions for RTE.